the broadest snapshot of the conversation is disaster for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris outperformed my expectations and many other people's expectations. She outperformed her previous debates. She was on it. Anyway,
with just 50.
Let's get to mainstream media coverage over the debate that we all watched last night. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I got a lot of them, and then we'll do some hogwatch. A lot of conservative tears were shed last night. I got to pee real quick.
5 days until the final votes in a race that is in a dead heat. Kamala Harris faced off against Donald Trump. It was the first time the two have ever met in person. The night began with the vice president walking across the stage to shake the former president's hand.
Harris clearly signaling there that she wanted to take command, kicking off 90 minutes of confrontation. Former President Trump on defense for most of the night. In the first debate, polls say that voters think Harris won. Our team is live in Philadelphia this morning. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce starts us off. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, this was a fierce and fiery face-off. Donald Trump on the defensive for much of the night. Kamala Harris taking every chance she could to get under his skin, goading Trump to go off message while avoiding much focus on her own vulnerabilities. The policy often overshadowed by these personal attacks. But this morning, the big question remains, will any of this be enough to fundamentally change the dynamics of this race?
It started with what appeared to be a moment of civility, a historic handshake initiated by the vice president, the rivals meeting for the very first time.
Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate.
See you. Have fun.
Thank you.
But the niceties didn't last, the nominees quickly digging into each other, beginning with the issue top of mind for many voters, the economy.
Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes.
The vice president repeatedly goading Donald Trump, trying to get under his skin.
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
The former president taking the bait.
She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go.
But Trump throwing the heat right back at her.
Wait a minute. I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
One of the most contentious exchanges of the night on abortion. Harris trying to capitalize on Democrats' advantage on the issue.
One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that.
But she also dodged when asked if she would support any abortion restrictions. While Trump...
Bro, that was like probably one of her peak on direct policy, on like direct attacks against Donald Trump. I mean, so much of last night. Holy dude. All right, let's get started on it. Okay, sir, permission to live the out? No, because I will tell you exactly what's going on. You not talking about the former VA governor doing post-birth abortions when there's actual video footage of him talking about is crazy? No, dude. The reason why I'm not talking about a doctor describing the gruesome process of a stillbirth baby being carried to term, and the gruesome nature in which like the medical process that has to take place in that circumstance is because I'm not entertaining your mania. Okay? The f- is wrong with you, dude? Oh, you not talking about the Haitian woman eating a cat is crazy? It's like, no, that wasn't a Haitian woman. That was just a random black woman, okay? During a mental health episode that you assumed was a Haitian woman. Do you see what's going on here? You just think in your mind that things that are not happening, that are completely illegal, are happening all the goddamn time. Okay? Yeah, but they try to place it as fake news. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. It is fake news, dumbass. That's not a real thing. Neither Haitians are eating cats, okay, and stealing people's pets, nor are they doing post-birth abortions, as in executions. It is illegal, okay? It is. Bunch of post-birth abortion survivors in the chat. I know. This is one of, there's actual video of him saying it. I need a post-birth abortion. I need it. 33 years prior to my birth right now. Dog, I know there's video of him saying it. Are you stupid? Have you never, like, actually looked into this at all? Holy shit, dude. I just described to you what is going on here, and you're like, nah, but he said it. Do you think it's happening? The question is, do you think it is legal for a doctor to just chop a baby's head off after the baby slides out of the pussy, okay? Like, do you think that's what's going on? A post-birth abortion where the baby is alive is just a baby being placed on palliative care while it dies because of some horrific birth defect. These shadows need to stop. I know. But they don't know. One, because they're never going to and they're never going to have children because they never leave the goddamn basement. Or two, they're too stupid to understand how the world works. Okay? That's the issue. I hate, absolutely hate that every year, okay, year after year, the conversation keeps devolving and getting dumber and dumber. And we have to sit here and have a serious back and forth as though the person I'm talking to is like a normal adult with real opinions. Like, I cannot entertain your delusions every goddamn day, man. Okay? I can't. Like, you've been duped. I don't know what else to tell you. So what you should do in this situation is go, wait, I was lied to? Holy shit, let me reconsider. You know? Instead of being like, no, I'm going to double down and act like a thing that is directly illegal, okay, completely illegal, is actually happening, and that the governor of Virginia was doing it, okay? Like, what is more likely? That the governor of Virginia is chopping baby heads, okay? Or as a doctor is describing the process of a stillborn birth and the gruesome nature of, like, allowing the baby that has a horrific birth defect to die. What do you think happened? If you think the first thing, if you're like, nah, dude, actually, I see it all the time. People are just chopping baby heads like left and right. If you legitimately think that, you're an insane person. You are not mentally well. Okay, I wish you well. I hope you get all right, like, as quickly as you can. But you're not mentally sound right now. You're not in a place where you are of the right mindset. And I don't even completely fault you for it, because this gets to my other argument. When you got a like Donald Trump in a position of authority, utilizing the bully pulpit to repeat this bullshit, of course, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who does not have a unique thought in their heads is going to repeat that shit and be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's happening. Oh my God. It's deeply frustrating. And again, it's always a defensive posture. It's always a defensive posture against, like, the collective delusions of, like, the most insane people. Okay? Hasan, shut up. No aura, man. I have females. Yeah, okay. Referring to women as females, instantly, I know what you are. Post-birth abortion survivor here. 10 doctors told my mom she should get rid of me, but here I am, barely sentient, spreading the most brain-dead takes in chat. I'm pro-life, but voting for Kamala because Biden did NATO. Well, as opposed to your take, let me tell you, okay, as a post-birth abortion survivor, the doctors tried to chop my head off, but it was even tinier back then, so they couldn't even figure it out. Guess what? I survived, bitch. I will be voting for Donald Trump for one reason, and one reason only. My favorite politician, Viktor Orban, the beautiful leader of Hungary, keeps saying Donald Trump is awesome. Okay? I am the Viktor Orban swing state voter. That's right. I lied. I'm not even in California. I live in Erie, Pennsylvania, Erie County, Pennsylvania. And the moment that Donald Trump said, Viktor Orban thinks I'm handsome, I was like, that's it. That's my guy. That's the magic words. Those are the magic words. He strung them together and he said it perfectly. Don't give a fuck about anything else. Dear Mr. Piker, how come when I show liberals in my family that progressive policies poll well, they just say, I don't think I agree with you? What do you mean? Because they're blue MAGA. That's it. Yeah, the Viktor Orban difference, baby. This was... As a Swiftie who supports Viktor Orban, I guess you could say it's been a hard night. Dog, I was dodging the machete straight out of the womb. I swear post-birth abortions are real. Trust me, bro. Yeah. Hassan pre-watched the debate. What is this?
The Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany. The biggest
Viktor
pipeline
Orban loves
in the world.
me.
Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate, he let...
If women didn't have their prenatal rights removed, maybe we wouldn't be in this position. And the tip of the hour ad break on... Oh, hell no, dude. I thought you were making... Oh, my God. Oh, my Lord. It's the first one of the day. Right out the gate, dude. Right out the gate. God damn it. Why did I read that? I'm done. I'm done reading chat, bro. I swear to God, it's over. It's done. It's done. God damn it, dude. God damn it. Oh, and the tip of the hour ad break on 9/11 means our rights have been Taliban for the future Swifties. Long life, Elon and X or Twitter or Russia's Playground or whatever it's called now. Holy shit. I was so invested in the comment. I got, okay, chatters, you're not rating it 9 out of 11. That's not, you can't do that. Anyway, 3-minute ad break is upon us. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $6. I think it's like $5 now because it's September. In spite of Brandonomics, or for free with a Twitch Prime. Okay. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Long time sub here, but your competition on the debate got me questioning my loyalties. What is this?
Hey, get rid of the democracy door.
getting out of here.
Okay, let's get rid of this. No more door. Okay.
Trump quoting Mao Zedong, Hawk Tua. Trump accidentally calls Kamala Biden. Trump drinks water with 2 hands. Kamala calls Trump a felon. Trump makes a brand new claim about immigrants.
The democracy door is out of here. We're back. We're back. Okay, get rid of the
Did I miss that? No, I didn't. I saw a whole lot of ass. Another one of your moments yesterday got 47,000 likes. What the fuck?
Springfield, in Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies in Springfield, they're eating.
It's just, it's ridiculous, dude. It is so goddamn ridiculous. Oh, God. Oh, no, they're here. A General Services Administration spokesperson tells NPR that as of 11 a.m., there have been 306,000 visitors to vote.gov refer from Taylor Swift's URL she shared on Instagram last night. Holy moly. Dude, I'm like Trump doing the RFK slot and just like going after just having the most groiped up campaign that you can do when it obviously was a failure for Ron DeSantis shows me that he has lost his sauce. Okay. He's lost it. A lot of people forget that like the most successful campaign he launched was in 2016. And he launched that shit because he presented himself as a moderate on a lot of social issues that like most normal people don't give a about. Okay. Including being pro LGBTQ. Okay. He was like anti-war, pro LGBTQ. He was not like aggressively speaking about cutting entitlements and shit like that. He has just lost it, dude. He's got nothing. No NAFTA mentions, you know, no like, remember how the Democrats ruined the Midwest? None of that shit. The best he could scrounge up together was, I have a concept of a plan. I will say this much. I will say this much. Donald Trump was probably going to have a boring performance overall and not a good one. But Kamala Harris's consistent baiting worked entirely too well. Okay? That is a man who has lost his reasoning, okay? He is so goddamn narcissistic. It is his downfall. This is his own undoing, okay? He caused his own downfall by just going nutty mode. Every time Kamala Harris brought some shit up, I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's no reason for him to like invoke these things. There's no reason for him to even like repeat any of those things. And it was entirely too easy. Like shooting fish in a barrel, dude. It was crazy how easy it was. Like, if I'm the Harris campaign, I'm literally showing all of his like lowlights from last night and just being like, you think this guy who couldn't shut the fuck up about himself because of a couple baits is going to be able to handle Putin? You know what I mean? Like, these world leaders are going to play tricks on him. They're going to, pull some keys out and start jiggling it. And he's just going to go after that shining object. First of all, he was so goddamn emotional. You know what I mean? The idea that like he can't even do the women are emotional shit, which is not exactly an effective strategy anyway. But like, he was so hysterical, dude. Our newest ad just dropped. It's 1 hour and 40 minutes of just the debate. That's funny. She did so well. That Republicans immediately started doing the conspiracies. Like, if you want to know without a shred of doubt that Kamala Harris clobbered last night, like absolutely eviscerated Donald Trump last night, made a fool of him, look to what the Republicans are saying. Because if that debate was, a banger for Trump, they'd be doing victory laps right now. Instead, they started crying about the moderators while the debate was going on. They haven't stopped crying about the moderators. And on top of that, Trump immediately went to the spin room and started chirping about Twitter polls. They're crying about the mods. And on top of that, they're immediately locked in on conspiracies like, oh, she had a earpiece. She had an earpiece in her ear. Like they're looking for reasons as to why she actually did so good. That's how you know Donald Trump got gutted, okay? What's the best response to Blue MAGA? Voting for Jill Stein? Like, as in, if you're voting for Jill Stein and Blue MAGA gets mad at you, just be like, win my vote. What do you mean? I want to vote for the Democratic Party. Why is the Democratic Party not looking to secure my vote? I'm so willing. I'm so able. That's it. Yeah. Before we get to the hogwatch shit, which by God we will get to, okay? We will get to it. Let's watch some of the highlights and lowlights.
Repeated false claims, prompting a fact check from moderator Lindsay Davis.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
And he refused to rule out signing a national abortion ban. On immigration, Trump trying to pin previous chaos at the border on Harris.
They're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done.
Harris laying into Trump for urging Republicans to kill the bipartisan border deal.
But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised.
Trump responding by repeating a false conspiracy theory.
I will say this much. Kamala Harris's weakest moments in terms of like, the broadest snapshot of the conversation is disaster for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris outperformed my expectations and many other people's expectations. She outperformed her previous debates. She was on it, okay? She came in hot. She came in assertive. You could tell that she was a little nervous in the beginning. And as time went on, she and her attacks, her like light jabs at Donald Trump ended up paying off massively. She got way more confident. Okay. On the aesthetic front, she was great. She was fantastic. Okay. So liberals, if you were looking for a major W, you got it. Having said that, there were obviously weak moments as well, and I will get to that in a second. But overall, broad analysis of last night. I tweeted this. I tweeted this last night as well. Okay, but if Kamala Harris's goal was to demonstrate competency, okay, and show the American broader electorate that she is here and she will be like a normal leader, okay, something that Joe Biden definitely couldn't do anymore, she did that, okay. And if her goal was to also overall show how narcissistic and petulant of a man-child Donald Trump is, she did that fantastically. I said she put up LeBron numbers on that front. Okay. However, if her goal was to get the couch voters, the non-voters, the undecideds, the real undecideds, because the mythical moderate undecided is not a real thing. That's a made-up phenomenon. It's not a real concept at all. Kamala Harris is not like converting Trumpers to her ticket, okay? Even though that's what media keeps repeating, even though that's what it seems like they're trying to do, that's not the real people, okay? The real people are people that have voted for the Democratic Party and right now are thinking, I'm probably not going to go out and vote. Those people have a bunch of different reasons for not doing so, okay? In order to get those people to come out and vote, right? People that consider themselves independent, people that say that they're undecided between sitting on the couch and voting for Kamala Harris. They're not undecided between voting for Kamala Harris or voting for Donald Trump. And that's only because Donald Trump was the president and everyone is already, most people, like the overwhelming majority of people that have already voted and will definitely vote this election cycle have already made up their fucking minds on him. That is precisely the reason why it did not even reflect in a minor bump in terms of the way people perceived Donald Trump when he got shot in the head. Okay? That's how polarized people are on Trump. That's how convinced they are. They were either crying tears of happiness that he got shot and survived, or crying tears of sadness that he got shot and didn't die. But nobody was like, I don't know. I think now that he got shot, I feel like I'm more on board with Donald Trump. So that's the reality for him, right? He has a very hard race in front of him. He's a very hard race in front of him, which is part of the reason why I keep saying, especially when you look at down ballot races, especially when you look at like all these other races, like Edinger Mentum calls them normal adult races, you know, Democrats are putting numbers on the board. Okay, so the overall performance of the Democratic Party is good. The overall like outlook on the Republican Party is very bad. But Kamala Harris, in order to absolutely win this race, like solidify her lead, has to bring people who are like, I am not going to vote this time around. I just don't give a shit. I don't care. Okay? You seem to speak for everyone, but you don't say a word to anyone outside of your tiny little internet orbit. Every interaction you have with people is on Twitter. Go outside. Bro, for someone who speaks for most people, you never speak to anyone outside of your tiny little orbit on the internet. All these people's opinions you're talking about is Twitter. What? Politics is gross because no one tells the truth. You're a fraud. Bro, she couldn't speak for the first 20 minutes. Brother, holy. She said the same things Hillary said. Didn't answer any questions and stood on Israel. First of all, I haven't even gotten to like, I'm giving you a broader snapshot. There's a lot of issues that I have with Kamala Harris. Let me get there, okay? And in terms of I don't speak to people outside. What are you talking about? For a person who spends 8 to 10 hours online as I do, you are not going to get anyone that is more tapped into the normal public opinion than someone like myself. As a matter of fact, I regularly shit on Democrats who hyper focus on Twitter, who think that like Twitter is real life, media members who do this as well. This is like one of the major points that I made about last night's debate, as a matter of fact. Trump is extremely online. Trump was doing Haitians are eating cat memes. That shit does not poll well with the broader electorate. Okay? Ain't nobody's going to be like, oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. I'm tapped in. Okay? I know the internet is not normal public opinion. What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, they will know what he's talking about. That's the issue. Okay, you're all right, I'm banning you. Shut the fuck up. You just said I'm extremely online, and then you turned around and said, no, actually, every random American is really invested in the right-wing memes that blow up on Twitter. But in real life, when you bring that shit up, people look at you like, what the fuck are you saying? Thanks. Yeah, that's precisely the reason why they did not win by massive numbers in the 2022 midterms, by the way. That was a horrible instinct, and I called it, and I was right on that, so suck my dick, okay? And I told you, if Republicans keep leaning into this like random culture war nonsense, they are going to be off-putting and normie repellent. They're going to be off-putting to the like normal suburban voters. Doors open. Doors open. Okay. My mom heard about it for the first time during the debate and was confused and started laughing. Yeah, same shit on like transgender illegal aliens getting bottom surgery inside of prisons, forcible medical bottom surgery for transgender illegal aliens. Like, you say shit like that, and that might play well to the dumbest 8 people that you know. But normal people hear that and they're like, what the are you saying, dog? No, it's not Felix, it's delivery. So that's the point. Okay, this shit is incredibly off-putting. This shit is incredibly gross, incredibly sweaty, and incredibly off-putting to like normal people, because normal people do not find themselves in a Twitch chat. Okay, normal people do not make sock accounts to come to the Twitch streamers, to the Twitch chat of a socialist political commentator. Okay, you are the furthest from normal, especially if you've been paying close attention to politics. Let's be real, okay? You are not the average voter, nor the average voter eligible population. You're not. You're not, okay? You're in here. That means automatically you are very different than the average person who goes out and votes, or a person who has the capacity to vote but usually doesn't even exercise it, okay? Which is a pretty sizable chunk. Anyway, I'm really disappointed that neither Trump nor Kamala talked about PAYGO. Yeah, my queen Nancy Pelosi and her beautiful, brilliant proposal of PAYGO.
About migrants eating people's pets in Springfield, Ohio.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
television. But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Oh, I do gotta add a note on this. Kamala Harris's like off the ball performance, like off the ball movement, excellent. High marks for that too. She obviously debate prepped and knew that there was a camera on her at all times. So like there was never a moment where she was like presenting herself as like weird. There was a couple instances where she like maybe reacted in a way that I didn't necessarily appreciate, but overall she obviously was very cognizant that there is a camera on her at any given moment. And your off the ball performance is also very important. The way you express yourself, the way you like react to certain things that Trump was saying. And in my opinion, she did a pretty decent job on that as well. Donald Trump, as opposed to her, literally was like angry and just constantly looking down like this. That's the type of shit that like normies do care about, even if they don't like hyper analyze it, right? They still see it because it's a vibe that you're putting out. And the vibe that Donald Trump was putting out was seething, okay? He either looked tired or he looked angry. And that's not a good vibe to put out at all. And he didn't look angry because America is, Okay, that's the difference, because 2016, Donald Trump did a pretty good job of being like, I'm angry because the establishment f***ed you over. I'm angry because you're angry. We're both angry together. I'm angry for the same reasons that you're angry for. Here, he just comes across as, I'm angry because they're yelling at me. I'm angry because they're calling me out. I'm angry because she said that people leave my debates, or people leave my rallies. So the more you can successfully show people that Donald Trump doesn't give a f about them and only gives a f about himself, the better you're going to do. And on that front, Kamala Harris did a really good job. Okay, she did. Don't worry, I'm gonna still talk about the negative consequences of like maybe even Kamala's successful performance last night in a brief moment.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
The candidates also
Like, I wouldn't have laughed in that situation, because like that's a layup. And also what he's saying is like crazy. Sure, you're deflating it, but I think that's a perfect opportunity for her to be like, see, this is what we mean when we say Republicans behave in a weird way, because that's like cutting, right? That cuts into Donald Trump. Like, this is what we mean when we say Trump is being weird. That's not a real story. That's not only is it not a real story, it's a very racist story. Like, you just made that up. These are some immigrants are what makes this nation great. We're a proud nation of immigrants. And I said this last night as well. Like, the way that she should have retorted on that front, even if she were to be as moderate as possible, is to basically say, this is a completely made up story. Now, one must ask the question, why Donald Trump chose to go with this story that is completely made up. He wants you to hate your neighbors. That's why. He wants to divide this country. We are a nation of immigrants. My parents are first-generation immigrants. I'm Kamala Harris now, okay? Donald Trump's grandparents are immigrants. Every single person in this country, with the exception of Native Americans, can trace their origin back to someone who didn't used to live here. That's what makes this a strong country. And Donald Trump wants you to hate that. We talking about illegals, brother, not illegal. Yo, dog, the difference between an illegal immigrant and a legal immigrant is nothing. You know that, right? It's just paperwork. Like, just because you slap that sticker in front of it doesn't change the reality that these are just like normal human beings, you know, that are participating in the American economy in the same exact ways that your bitch ass is.
sparring on foreign policy.
It is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors.
The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent.
And getting personal, Trump asked about his statements questioning Harris's racial identity.
So
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was...
Like, what a terrible, terrible response. Like, just jumping on that landmine. What an idiotic move from Trump. Okay. What the f Biden puts on a MAGA hat? That's AI, dog. What are you talking about? Anyway, let's get back to the debate. So, in terms of the debate, I think that there are very real reasons as to why Kamala Harris should absolutely push back on the immigration stuff, even if it is not necessarily, even if it's not because like she wants to win the election, but because this is genuinely going to cause harm down the line. Okay, we are moving towards straight up pogroms. Okay, but counter messaging on this front would also have electoral benefits for her. They need to stop being so scared. Okay, they need to stop being so scared. They see polls and they're like, "Oh, 60% of Americans want mass deportation, so I guess we can't speak on that." And it's like, no, you can, because if you completely drop that conversation, then you're just leaving that for the Republicans to pick up. It is crazy how openly and annoyingly scientifically fascist the Republican Party has become. They already were, but like the greatest difference between like 2016 Trump and 2020 Trump versus Trump now is that in 2016, when he came down the escalator, he was like, Mexicans are rapists, right? And drug dealers and murderers. But then he said, and some are very fine, some are fine people, I'm sure. He dropped the last part. He literally dropped it from 2016 to 2024. Now he's just like, nah, they're all rapists, dog. They're eating cats. They're coming up with new shit. Not only are they rapists and drug dealers and murderers, but they're also eating cats now. They're eating your cats. Like he doesn't leave even a counter for people to be like, oh, you're racist, so that he could be like, oh, no, I'm not. I'm not racist. I said some can be fine people too. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, we've lost the plot. We're losing the goddamn plot. An environment where there's this much outward hostility to migrants is going to be really damaging to American society in general, where people are going to start doing pogroms. That's number one. And number two, beyond the fabric of society unwinding, okay, it also, if you're like a bloodless sociopathic wonk, okay, or a staffer in DC, understand that this is a massive opening for the Republican Party. You are giving them, you are ceding this territory to them. This is their issue, okay? This is their issue. So if you don't counter message against it, if you don't get on the defensive posture, or even, dare I say, the offensive posture by, you're wrong, you made me feel stupid. Wait, really? He actually, it looks like at the Shanksville Fire Station, POTUS spoke on the country's bipartisan unity after 9/11 and said we need to get back to that. As a gesture, he gave a hat to a Trump supporter who then said that in the same spirit, POTUS should put on a Trump cap. He briefly wore it. Oh my God. Okay, I apologize to Macias. The Macias was right. My fault. I should have never doubted you. It did straight up look like in the video, it looks like an AI video because of the movement in the video, but that's probably because he's just a robotic ass who moves like an AI. Anyway, thoughts on RFK Jr. literally eating dogs? Yeah, I don't care. He's insane.
Black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Less than 2 months until the election, Trump still refusing to concede he lost the last one.
You have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
Oh, wait. Why did you say, oh, I said that, if you didn't say that? Because that's weird. That doesn't make no sense either. Interesting. Oh, I was just being sarcastic. I mean, he's just got nothing, dude. He's got nothing, okay? He's got nothing on it. Recognizing that he said that it's a lose-lose, okay? It's just a lose-lose for him across the board, because if he constantly harps on it, then he's a loser. He's just like crying over and over again about how he lost. And even like people who want to support him are probably going to look at that and be like, come on, dog, shut the up. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Stop crying that you lost. You know, it's already incredibly stupid, right? Because if the Democrats are like stealing this election, just like they stole the last one, why the are you going out to do a goddamn debate anyway? Why are you even going out and voting? It makes no sense. Okay. I think you're underestimating the real MAGA chuds. Yes, brother, I'm not underestimating them, but they're locked in already, okay? They're unshakable. They're an unmovable object, okay? There are like 30% of the base for the Republican Party is locked in. They're laser focused. They are going to vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump could literally bring up MAGA hogs one by one and kill them on stage, they would still be like, yes, Mr. President, I love that. Please kill me more. I wish I was the one you sacrificed. Okay? Or I shouldn't say 30%. I'll say 30% of the broader electorate, not even just the Republican base, because the Republican base is just locked in for Trump. That is just, no matter what you do, no matter what he says and does, they're in. They're invested. Now, that's not enough to win an election, though. And the more unhinged that 30% gets, the more the people that would normally vote for the Republican Party get a little weirded out by the Republican Party. This is the problem, okay? This is the problem with where the Republican Party is headed and why they will have issues even after Donald Trump, okay? Because once Trump goes away, there is no guarantee that those cultish freaks are going to be permanent Republican Party voters, because they're only invested in the loyalty that they have to Donald Trump, okay? So the rest of the moderates might come back, or the rest of the normal Republicans might come back to the Republican Party when there's like a boring country club Republican-ass presidential candidate. But then they most likely lose a big chunk of the base of support beyond like the evangelicals and shit that already have their networks for turning out people, right? That vote as a reliable, consistent voting bloc for the Republican Party. So that's a larger issue for the Republicans that I don't want to dive into too much right now, okay? But like I said, Donald Trump's goal here is, or Donald Trump's goal coming into this was to come across as like as normal as he possibly can and hit Kamala Harris on flip-flops, hit Kamala Harris on like, adopting some of his policy positions, especially the big one being on immigration, not be as insane on immigration so that he can come across as reasonable and like find that perfect pocket of like the 60% of Americans that want mass deportations, okay? Without coming across too Hitlerian that like even the most rabid like Hispanic MAGA voters don't turn around and go, okay, maybe he hates us too, okay? But he couldn't do that. He passed, he failed the vibe check on that one, where he just came in hot and was like, Haitians are eating dogs. Like it's over. At that point, it's like you're like, even people who are invested in mass deportation are going to look at that and be like, oh, like if you go too far, you will even end up making people who are like-minded or people who want to be invested in this narrative feel uncomfortable about it. You can't be nerdy about your racism, something that I describe all the time, like with what Ron DeSantis used to do. And you can't be too crazy. There is a limit to what you can get away with. Take a day off. Don't send me dumb shit right now. I'm doing political commentary. No memes. Can you do that thing where if you were a Republican strategist, what is the best course of action for them in this moment, you think? Dude, I don't know. There's no way of controlling Donald Trump. Like, I would probably play highlight reels of 2016 and be like, remember what you used to be like, Mr. President? Please do that. Please be more reasonable. You are Mr. Room Reader. Okay? You are Mr. Room Reader, Mr. President. What happened? You're now objectively not reading the room. The room you're reading is Twitter. And Twitter is not real life, especially now. Twitter never was real life, and now it's even less like real life. Now it's just Nazi life. Okay? So if you mistake the botted out right-wing Nazi accounts for real, genuine support that will translate to real voters on the ground, you are gonna lose, Mr. President. That's what I would say. That shit is like thinking, that's just like looking at 4chan and being like, well, these guys really like my ideas, so I'm just gonna run on them. Do you think most undecided voters at this point are only undecided on whether they'll still vote for Harris or not, and Trump isn't an option? I mean, I think there's a lot of, if there are any undecided voters for Trump, they actually just want to vote for Trump. They have voted for Trump. They want to vote for Trump, but he just makes it too hard. But that number is like tiny in comparison to the much larger number of people who don't know enough about Kamala Harris, don't know what she is going to do for them, and think, or even think that like Kamala Harris is not there on some of the issues that they care about. Okay? And one of those major issues is Gaza. there is a big chunk of people, young voters, Arab voters, Muslim voters, like anti-war voters, who legitimately are like, nope, that's my issue, and I'm not going to vote for Kamala Harris. She has not made a coherent split from Biden on this issue. It is very obvious. It is very obvious that she is deeply invested in continuing the genocide. I will not vote for her. There are hundreds of thousands of people like this. And for some weird reason, and many of them are in this community, by the way, and for some weird reason, Kamala Harris is looking at that situation and just going, I don't care. Well, Trump hasn't either, so what's next? That does not matter. That does not matter at all. Okay? What do you mean? Like this idea that people are going to go out and vote when they were not interested in voting for Trump at all is stupid, okay? This is how you lose. You need to motivate people to go out and vote for you. And for that to happen, you have to tell them what you're going to do for them. And if it's not going to be on Israel-Palestine, which is such an easy gimme, okay? It's such an easy gimme for her, all right? Then you have to do something beyond, like, I'm going to offer $50,000 to the opportunity economy people, startups. I hate that shit, okay? I absolutely hate that shit. I hate the messaging around it. I think it's so lame. When someone says opportunity economy or we're going to give $50,000 in tax breaks for startups, you know what I think? I think the Manosphere PUA guys selling yet another drop shipping how-to FAQ. Okay, that's what I think. It invokes the feeling of another drop shipping company starting up in my mind. Okay, I don't like that. I consider that to be like somewhat of an out of touch bicoastal elitist language. I don't think that like Americans broadly give a shit about that. Okay. And I think it's a silly way to message. She said it 3 times last night, which was weird. I don't know why she thinks it's like great. Dropshipping was the 2016. The new grift is telling people how to resell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Regardless, whatever it is. Okay. This is objectively good for market competition. Thank you, Average Anarchy, for coming in and talking about market competition. Yeah, because normal Americans are like, oh, this is objectively good for market competition. That's the calculation that people make. If you think that like a bus driver, okay, is going around watching this debate, watching pieces of this debate and going, well, it seems like this is going to be objectively good for market competition. I'm definitely voting for Kamala Harris. You are the most delusional person on the planet, okay? What the I don't think Gaza alone can swing the swing states, though, unless a broader conflict starts. No, it can't. But it would make Kamala Harris's chances significantly better. That's the point. And if the margins are close, then you absolutely have to not let any voters, you can't just leave voters out on the table. You know what I mean? The assumption that they're going to come and vote for you because they're too afraid of Donald Trump is a silly one, okay? That's not how people vote. I keep repeating this over and over again. The dumbest guy you know still understands that, like, well, this person is not motivating me to go out and vote. It seems like, regular old bullshit. Why the fuck should I take time off from my day to go out and vote? They do not think about harm reduction like that, okay? No matter how much you repeat it. Now, this community will always repeat it because you are not the normal voter. You are nerds. You love politics. You follow it on the off season. Of course, you're very familiar with Kamala Harris. There's like 50% of the fucking broader electorate that doesn't know who she is. Think about that. Think about how much you know about Kamala Harris, regardless of the lack of information out there. Now think about the average person. The average person has no clue. So if Kamala Harris is talking about like the Nikki Haley voting constituency after Nikki Haley has already said that she is endorsing Donald Trump, if she's desperately going after those voters, why the f isn't she going after people who have already historically voted for the Democratic Party, but are now saying they don't want to, like young people? She's gotten a lot of gains in the youth vote overall, but there's still much more that she can go after, especially because she's not Joe Biden. Okay? Joe Biden could have made this calculation of college-educated white voters going for him as opposed to Donald Trump. But she needs to be going after an Obama 2008 constituency. She needs to be going after an Obama 2008 coalition, not a Joe Biden 2020 coalition. But the policies that she's presenting so far are actually not really all that interesting for the Obama 2008 coalition and more interesting for the Joe Biden 2020 coalition. Okay? This is, in my opinion, a mistake. Having said that, however, in spite of the flubs like leaving a lot of the immigrant conversation out there for Donald Trump to message on, which he ends up flubbing on regardless because he's just far too insane on it, she still presented herself very well. She outperformed expectations. She destroyed Donald Trump. She just kept needling at him and he just fell apart. So obviously it was still good. So if you're a liberal and you're like really worried about Trump winning or whatever, don't worry. Okay. This was great for her. Polls already show that she's like, you know, doing better than Donald Trump to begin with. Okay. Not good enough in my opinion, but better. And now you got the Taylor Swift boost as well. We'll see how that looks like. But I do worry that in the limited amount of time she has from this point on, there is still plenty of voters that she's leaving out there.
Sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval.
The reality, there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud, and President Biden won the 2020 contest. Harris using the moment to call Trump unqualified.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling.
Simple as she is taking unnecessary risks in an election where she can't. Yes, thank you. That's precisely. Did he say she pussed out last night, or did I imagine that? I don't think he said that.
And the American people deserve better.
In their closing statements, Harris vowing to help take the country forward.
I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
While Trump finally honed in on his message, questioning why Harris hasn't accomplished her plans during her time as vice president.
He did, but it had context. I don't remember that.
President.
They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it?
Oh. He was talking about how she like put out a statement or something. Okay.
Chief Washington correspondent John Carl, our chief global affairs anchor Martha Raddatz. Welcome to you both. John, let me begin with you. I think one way to think about what was going on last night is that Kamala Harris was engaged in a kind of psychological warfare.
Yeah, and it began right from the moment the debate started, even before it started, when they walked onto the stage and Kamala Harris walked over to Donald Trump, going to his side of the stage for a handshake that Donald Trump did not expect and seemed like he didn't want. He started out the debate relatively calm, at least for a couple of minutes, but as the debate wore on.
Dude, the pivotal moment in last night's debate was when Kamala Harris said, "People leave your rallies." Okay? He was already like pissed off from the jump. But the moment that she said, people get bored of the same old bullshit at your rallies and they leave by the end of it, something changed in his mind. So he just reset. Like he literally, from that point on, he just could not be normal at all. He snapped and it was downhill from that moment. Okay. From that moment on, he was just losing it. And she kept needling him. She kept needling him while also packaging it in a, I would say, a very expert way. She needled him in a way that he would eat the bait every single time. But she also wouldn't just do it like by directly needling him. She would also package that with like actual like issues that Trump has. And it was just terrible. It was terrible for him.
He became increasingly rattled and angry, yelling a lot of his answers as Kamala Harris tried to provoke.
Do you think she did it on purpose? Absolutely. Absolutely, dude.
Him, tried to get inside his head, hitting some key touch points, ridiculing his crowd size, talking about how he is saying he is mocked by people around the world, talking about the long litany of former senior Trump officials, people that Donald Trump hired who now say that he is unfit for office. And Trump clearly was upset. He took the bait over and over again, was unable to really take the argument to Kamala Harris. Now, this morning, George, Donald Trump is saying this is his best debate ever, his great.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like delusional, right? This is completely delusional in a way that like, it's completely delusional in a way that actually cuts against like what people could see with their eyes. Like, even if you are a cultish MAGA loyalist, you probably still saw him not in the best light. There were people last night who were like, I'm a MAGA supporter. I still think he's going to win, but he did a terrible job last night because he did. Like, he couldn't get any of his good points across. He had 3 major strong suits, okay? 3 major positions where he is objectively polling better than Joseph Robinette Biden and Kamala Harris, okay? 3 points. This is very important, as opposed to 2 points that Kamala Harris is better, outperforming. 2 important points that Kamala Harris is outperforming Trump on. For Kamala Harris, it's simple: abortion, like an insane. It's just like not even a question, right? Abortion is the #1 thing for the Democrats, right? It's the #1 point that they have. And Joe Biden historically was doing terrible on that front in terms of communicating because he's Catholic and he's old and he doesn't really like abortion anyway. And Kamala Harris, both being a woman and also, you know, having that like personal connection to this insane situation that we found ourselves in, did a really good job presenting exactly what the problem is with Trump's restrictive policies that he had to take ownership over. Okay. The second point that she's good on is demonstrating competence and showcasing that he's narcissistic. That one, and also you can tie that to like democracy, preserving democracy, which was a big point for the Democrats in general. But the 3 key points that Donald Trump outperforms the Democrats on consistently are much more important, with the exception of abortion. Okay. #1, immigration. Americans, due to no counter messaging from the Democratic Party and an unimaginable amount of propaganda, are very right-wing as it stands currently on immigration. Okay? Very right-wing. But for Donald Trump, all he needed to do for immigration was to simply say, look, you guys made this a problem. You called my supporters racist for years, and now you act like you want to build a wall. Well, you know, we don't trust you. You've mishandled the situation, and we don't trust you. Why should anybody ever trust you on this? Like, if he were to just simply stick to a coherent message on the issue of immigration, he could present himself as like a normal person on an issue where he is obviously outperforming the Democrats on by wide margins. And it's especially a shitty predicament for the Democrats because there's no real counter to it, because you've already adopted their right-wing framing that like immigrants are a threat to this country, which is really terrifying. Okay. Really terrifying. But the high notes on this immigration front from the Donald Trump camp, like what people will remember this debate on the issue of immigration, is only going to be how he said they're eating the dogs. Okay? Everyone is going to remember this debate on your most powerful point as they're eating dogs. They're eating dogs. We got to do something about it. Okay? It's just, you sound like a delusional old man who's yelling at clouds. And sure, there's people in your base that love that, and they also are delusional old men, but you're not going to win anyone else like that might be in the margins. Okay? The other two issues that he's also strong on is the economy. Okay? And it was insane to me, actually, as a debate watcher, that on the issue of the economy, he immediately dialed it back and started talking about how Haitians are eating dog. Like, that's crazy. He doesn't even have policies for the economy, and he's still defeating the Democrats on this front. Think about that. Like, because people are understandably upset with the way that the economy looks like right now. That's how upset they are, that they're like, this guy's policy-less, but it doesn't matter. I still think it's like, you know, I still think he'd be better than the Democrats, and he still f***ed it up. You should have absolutely hyper-focused on that, you know? But he didn't. Yeah, he didn't even mention no tax on tips because he forgot everything. He got so mad. He got so mad that he had nothing, okay? He had nothing there. There was a moment where he literally said, oh, I have a concept of what I can do, which is, oof, so bad. And last but not least, Donald Trump outperforms Democrats on wars, okay? Especially Israel-Palestine. Part of that is because he doesn't, like, part of that is because he's not the president, okay? He's not the president, so people do not attribute to him the failures of the Biden administration, and maybe even attribute too much failure to the Biden administration in terms of foreign policy. In 2016, he presented himself as a peaceful dove, okay? As a peaceful dove, as opposed to the failure of the Iraq War. That played really well. That played really well in terms of the broader electorate. They saw him as a very different kind of anti-establishment, maybe even perhaps moderate Republican, okay? Peace through strength type shit. He normally acts like, you know, he's going to be a strong negotiator, and that's why he's going to cut deals. Obviously, all of this is fake and bullshit, but people do want to believe him on this front, okay? I know you are memeing when you call him a peaceful dove. This is 100% a deranged psychopath that eludes the mafia. Dude. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is actually a peaceful dove. Do you not understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I'm saying that he used to present himself as that, and people responded positively to that, okay? It's how you portray yourself that matters to a lot of people who just kind of look at the optics of the situation. And the optics of the situation on 3 of his major strong suits was Garbo, okay? And then beyond that, he also flubbed the abortion one that was going to be the strongest part for Kamala Harris and was going to be very difficult for him to climb out of. He kept repeating this like idiotic notion that like everyone actually wanted Roe v. Wade to be repealed, okay? Which is utterly ridiculous. And then he even turned around and said, in places like Kentucky and Ohio, people voted more progressively on abortion, demonstrating that even in those states that where people should have been demanding this overturning of Roe v. Wade, they still want to carry Roe v. Wade. They want to protect it. He absolutely f***ed up on that front too. My aunt literally told me that she's voting for Trump because he keeps money within the U.S. instead of starting war abroad. My auntie's a self-described Democrat in New Jersey. That's what I'm saying, though. Like people hear that and they remember that, and they all if you're not paying close attention to what the f- going on, and many people don't, okay, then you're going to be oblivious to the reality that at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break. But you shouldn't be. You should know that it's 1 p.m. Pacific time and that there's a 3-minute ad break coming right now. Now, if you no longer want to see those ads, well, then all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $6, even though it's September, so it's 30% off, I think, or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite broadcaster. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. I like people prefer to hear no new wars as opposed to the most lethal military. Yes, exactly. In its most reductive terms, people would rather hear someone say, I didn't start any new wars. and I will end the wars that currently exist, rather than someone who says, no, we have to have wars, and I'm going to have the strongest military force of all time. It's especially shitty when it's coming from a Democrat, okay? Because ultimately, people perceive Democrats as, historically at least, they perceive the Democratic Party as weak, as like, you know, you can't take ownership over patriotism and a lethal military force. You don't have the riz to pull that off. There was also a lot of good moments where Kamala Harris deflected on hard questions. Deflected by basically needling Trump again and then forcing Trump to be on the defense. Okay? Let's continue.
Greatest debate ever, but there are several indications that not even Donald Trump thinks that is remotely true. The first was the way he walked out before all those reporters in the spin room last night. And this morning, he actually refused to even commit to a debate on Fox News. He doesn't seem to want to get on the stage again with Kamala Harris.
Okay, and Martha, there
honestly don't understand why you guys think having a lethal military is a bad thing. I don't know, man. Why do you think we call it the Department of Defense and not the War Department any longer? Like, even on the optics front, we try to act like the military doesn't kill, okay? Reminding people that that's what the military does, when that is definitely what the military does, simply means that you're just going to be more violent than the previous administration on this issue. And Americans, by and large, personally want to think that, like, we are a force of good, okay? We are a force of good. When you say we're lethal, that automatically reminds people that we are a force of evil. Are you a fascist? What the hell is going on right now? Oh, what? I don't understand why people have an issue with the most lethal military force thing. I don't think that's what it means. I just think the lethality is the point of a military law. Of course, lethality is the point of the military, but there is a reason, like I said, even on the optics front, that we call it the Department of Defense and not the Department of Offense. We don't call it the War Department anymore. Do you want to know why? Do you understand why they changed that? Because they want to propagandize that the military is there sometimes to do shit that nobody wants to do, but they don't want to do that originally. They want to be a peacekeeper. They want to be the peacekeepers, okay? When you say you are lethal, the military is lethal, you're giving the game away. You might as well say, yeah, we're going to have the most baby-killing machine out there. And you're going to be like, well, that's what the military does. Duh. That's crazy. Rebuttal, question mark? You're not asking me for the rebuttal. You're asking for him, right? Yeah. Yeah. Why isn't it called the Department for War? Why is it called the Department of Defense now? Because it used to not be. Why is it called the Department of Defense? But fear not, liberals. Donald Trump, like I said, is far too invested in defending that his crowds are actually pretty large and people don't hate him to actually make short work of Kamala Harris's warmongering sentiment that actually, if he made short work of, would come across as very shitty to a broader base of voters. Obviously, I don't want to know. I know it's called the Department of Defense as a guise to cover his true purpose, as a purpose to project power. Think about the reason why it's called Department of Defense instead of Department of War. You will arrive at the conclusion, because the same principle behind that is now in reverse. The principle behind naming it the Department of Defense and not the Department of Lethality or the Department of War, which is what it used to be called, is because people want to think that the military is there as a strong force that doesn't kill babies, okay? That, like, the lethality should not be the main focus when you're marketing the military. And it's not. There is a negative association with the term lethal. It means you're killing, okay? Openly admitting that the military is going to be hard-dicked killers is idiotic. It's not even the point they market when they're trying to get recruits. Exactly. She's posturing for probably national security people. That's it. There's no other person that you want to, there's no other person, there's not a single person that's going to be like, hell yeah, I love that. unless you're a Reddit brain dipshit and a NAFO Andy or something that thinks like, hell yeah, that like posts about aircraft carriers lasering ports in Yemen and says things like, oh, they gonna learn today. They gonna learn why we don't have healthcare today. Those are the only people that love that shit, okay? Oh, I agree that military should be defensive in the purpose. We should only have militaries to protect those that can't protect themselves. I think Kamala's just trying to say we have the best killing machines, etc. Brother, you are mentally disabled. I don't have anything else to say about this. Take a week off, okay? Sorry. Like, I don't know how to have this conversation with you. You literally have an intellectual disability. You are refusing to understand words, okay? God damn, dude. Holy. Who the f is voting to have the strongest murder machines? Dumb. God damn.
There was a fair amount of attention on foreign policy last night. Trade with China, the Gaza war, the war in Ukraine. Harris's mantra, Donald Trump has been weak and wrong.
Like, why do we call it lethal aid even? Why do we call it aid? Why do we call it aid and not we're giving baby murder machines? Like, how the f do you not understand this simple goddamn point? Like, I'm talking about literally just the optics of it, okay? Why do they add aid at the end of that?
Exactly, and Donald Trump fired back.
Motherfucker said, I'm a single issue voter, and my single issue is more murder machines, please. I want more efficient murder machines. Are you Mr. Raytheon? Are you John Lockheed? What the f do you mean, dude? Who are you? I genuinely don't understand it. Like there is not like, hello, I'm Mr. Boeing. I'm Mr. John Boeing, okay? And I love when I hear the Democratic president say, we are going to have the best death machines, okay?
Back, of course, saying that the war in Ukraine would not have happened. Vladimir Putin would not have gone in if he were president. He says the same thing about Israel, offered absolutely no evidence. And in fact, at one point, David Muir saying directly to him, do you want Ukraine to win this war? Seems like a pretty simple question, George, but he never answered that question. He also claimed that millions had died, that fake numbers were coming out of Ukraine. Kamala Harris basically just looked at him and smiled. She was asked directly, of course, about Afghanistan and whether she takes any responsibility for that disastrous pullout. She did not answer that.
Yeah, by the way, the media as well. That's why there's so many goddamn dumbasses in this chat as well every now and then. Oh, disastrous pullout of Afghanistan. First of all, she did take ownership over it, and she stood 10 toes down and said it was a good thing that they did that, which was correct. That was one of the best points of the entire night. Okay? Another major flub from the Democratic Party for not regularly defending one of the most defensible positions of the Biden administration. Okay? Being a pundit seems like being the most annoying reply guy on Twitter about everything. Being a chatter is like that too sometimes. 4 presidents said they'd do it. We did. Exactly.
Directly,
respect.
She threw that back at Donald Trump.
Dumb question. Why was it good? I mean, here, numbers on the board. 67 military, 67 active duty service members were killed in Afghanistan in the 4 years that Trump was president. 13 were killed under Joe Biden during the withdrawal. Okay, there you go. Turns out no extra people die when you actually pull your units out of a never-ending active war zone. A thing that Donald Trump also recognized, by the way. He was like, they're sniping our people. They're sniping our soldiers. So I had to make a deal with the Taliban. Remember when he said that? The counter to that is so simple. You just go, hey, remember how you recognized that the Taliban was sniping our soldiers? Perhaps that's the reason why 67 of them died, but nobody's talking about that. Whereas not a single death of a veteran is acceptable. Having said that, however, you had, whatever, what would the math look like? 67 and 13. What is that like? You had almost six times more soldiers die when you were in office. I'd say that's objectively, if 5 times those soldiers die, I would say objectively that that is a success, that you're trying to present as a failure because you were too cowardly to actually continue with this troop withdrawal.
About the fact that he was the one who wanted to pull out of Afghanistan and had a specific date to do that, George.
Martha Raddatz, John Carl, thanks very much.
Nicole Killian watched the debate last night at Penn Tap Room in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, alongside voters with a wide range of views. Nicole, good morning. What did they tell you?
Hey, good morning to you, Nate. We are in the heart of Bucks County, which is a competitive swing county here in Pennsylvania. The voters we talked to said that they didn't necessarily see eye to eye on this debate, but they did agree on a few things. For instance, they appreciated that former President Trump and Vice President Harris shook hands before the debate. They also felt that the candidates should have spoken more about policy and gone less on the attack. And one issue that was top of mind for all of them, immigration.
We need to do something with the border. It needs to be closed. I am a business owner, and this is something that I, struggle with continuously, and I have been struggling with.
I agree that we need strong border controls. I don't believe that we can deport everybody in the country. It isn't physically possible, and our economy would collapse if we did.
Did it surprise any of you that this conspiracy theory about Haitian migrants and cats came up during this part of the debate? And what was your...
In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, too. I'm a business owner in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and we got to get these migrants out. What the f*** are they doing? What have they done to your business, dumbass?
reaction to that?
Yes. Even Donald Trump, I did not think was going to go there.
I was initially had that same reaction. I was like, what is he doing?
I was shocked. I said to myself, what is he doing?
Remember how you kept saying, oh, I love Trump many times in your streams, but now you criticize him? Okay, the collective IQ of this community, when all the normies come back to watch, drops dramatically. I know I said originally that I want hogs in here, and it makes me happy. I'm reconsidering that. I'm reconsidering that position. Okay, maybe it wasn't the best thing. You know, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
So it took me back to when COVID came, and he was calling it the China virus.
Wait, hold on.
That was
that same reaction. I was like, what is he doing?
I was shocked. I said to myself, what is he doing? So it took me back to when COVID came, and he was calling it the China virus.
We also talked about some of the exchanges over reproductive rights. Take a listen.
I think that Kamala stood her ground on her position. I think that she's always been more pro-choice.
He kind of avoided it. He didn't want to touch the subject.
Are you concerned about an abortion ban?
In that aspect, I am. I do believe in a woman's right to choose in certain circumstances.
She tried to emphasize that it's the voters' rights to put like abortion protections and make it a state referendum. He tried his best to try and give a non-answer or deflect it, but because that's really all he could do at that point.
Most of the group was split between Harris and Trump voters, who told me that the debate mostly reinforced their views about the candidates. But one voter was undecided. He said after the debate he is considering Harris, although he's not completely sold.
I've been getting slightly irritated with actually the both of them, especially with people like me as a veteran and as somebody that's kind of on the fence for either or. They're not making it easy to choose somebody that I feel as though is actually right. They're not giving any solutions to any of the problems. And from there, it just seems like it's more entertainment than it is actually debating on problems.
I mean, that was like one of the... No, I look, we say undecided voters are dumb, but like that was the one coherent person. He's not wrong. He literally is right. He's like, neither of them are addressing anything meaningful. And it's correct. If like on the issue of abortion, obviously Donald Trump did a horrible job. Kamala Harris did a great job. You know what her positions are on that. You know what his positions are on that. Okay. But he's like, as a veteran, I'm looking at some of these problems that I'm experiencing, and neither one is like what do you say to that guy? Do you say, excuse me, sir, have you not considered that this is the opportunity economy and startups are going to get $50,000 in tax breaks? Like, do you think that that's a valid position? Think about it, okay? Think about it. Is that the actual thing that you're going to get this guy on? Why don't you start a small business, sweetie? What the fuck is wrong with you? It's the opportunity economy. Go ahead. Tell him that. No, that probably has issues with healthcare, bro. Just like you do. Think about the problems that you experience, okay? Think about the problems that you experience on a day-to-day basis. Wouldn't it be nice to hear from a politician in terms of like addressing those problems? Rent's out of control. They say we're going to do we're going to go after landlords, corporate landlords that are price fixing. They say that. Kamala Harris says that. Didn't say it at the debate. She couldn't even get herself to say Donald Trump is a landlord. You know? That's the type of shit that would be very meaningful for a lot of people, for a lot of voters. There are people here in the suburban safe community that bring up migrant crime during HOA meetings, and I want to throw chairs at them. These borders are an issue. Median voters are everywhere, and it's maddening. They're so stupid and overwhelmingly white/privileged. Yeah. Part of the problem is because there's no counter messaging on this front. Just like with crime, it is a panic narrative. It is collective hysteria. It is collective delusion. Okay? The numbers do not match up. Like the reality and the empirical evidence does not match up with their hysterical opinions. And the reason why they have this hysterical opinion is because the Republicans have run the table on this issue and they keep pumping it over and over again. I don't want to wait for another Trump presidency for the media to remember how cruel and unusual the Trump administration was in terms of like its treatment of migrants, okay? Dragnet operations from ICE, child separation at the border as a deterrence mechanism. These were things that were objectively cruel, okay? And people hated it. People hated it so much. Why is the question you must be asking yourself. Why did they hate it? Because it was, one, insane, incredibly violent, and two, the Democrats were campaigning on it over and over again. And the media was covering it relentlessly. And that reality was reflected in the polls. That's why when you look at like 2020 polls in terms of immigration and who would handle the situation better, Biden was sometimes even beating Donald Trump. I don't want to have another abortion-style situation where the Democrats don't act for years and years, and then the Republicans come back into power and they do Hitlerian policy only to have the Democrats use said Hitlerian policies to their advantage to fundraise and win another election and then not do anything about it. Okay? That's the problem. And that's precisely what the Democrats did with abortion. They waited and waited, and the Republicans kept needling on the issue of abortion. They used the Supreme Court of the United States to take away that right, and the Democrats fundraised off of it. What good is that? What good is that for the red state teenager who is a victim of rape, who can't go and get this medical procedure? What good is that for that person? She's just a talking point. It's disgusting. And I fear that we are bouldering towards this idiotic situation, this unimaginably cruel situation where the Republicans are going to win and then they're going to do concentration camps. And then we're going to be like, oh man, this is really bad. Abolish ICE, please. Abolish ICE. But don't worry, they'll be able to fundraise off of it, you know? And maybe win the election 8 years after we did concentration camps. Oh.
All of the voters said that they wanted to hear about other topics that didn't come up last night, like how the candidates may support veterans and also what they would do to bring down the national debt. So they all believe that there should be another debate. Whether or not they get one remains to be seen. Tony.
Well, there was a lot of personality last night, that's for sure, and we'll see about it.